Hello, listening people.
Hello.
You're listening to Spin Polish Presents Unappreciated Masterpieces. I'm Ryan.
I'm Bartek.
And we're called Spin Polish, likingly because we're always spitting and we both happen to be Polish. Isn't that right, Bartek?
And we're both Polish.
Yeah, you want to go there? You just gonna... Yeah, we're both Polish. And what do we do on Unappreciated Masterpieces, Bartek?
Spit, polish. But, obviously it sounds like I'm being stupid, but no, that's what we do with the movies. We spit, and wherever it lands just happens to be next to, a DVD or .avi of a movie on the ground, and then we watch them, and, they all happen to be those unappreciated movies that, either didn't get good reviews or have been forgotten by time, and we feel like it's time that they find their pedestal or re-find them.
Yeah. That was, even though it took you a little while to get there, what you said was emotional.
Well, I can't say the same thing every week.
These films are emotional. We find these unappreciated masterpieces, these lost artworks of time, and we talk about them. We do the commentary for you, and we try and dig deep in the meanings, because these films, what gets me about these films is, people know them. I don't think we've done a film yet where it's like, oh, this is completely unknown. We try and get ones that are in the public eye at some point in time, have been appreciated in the ways of knowledge of the title or of the premise. And we delve deep, because I think the problem is no one delves deep into these movies. Maybe even not the filmmakers. But I feel like if we delve deep, we find great meanings in them. I mean, hell, I've looked at the catalogue that we've done on this show, and I look at these movies, and at first I thought, oh, they're good movies. But now we've done this show, I'm like, these are great movies that we've done. Mm-hmm. So what is the masterpiece that we're doing this episode, Bartek?
The movie that we are doing today is called Pretty Man, czyli chłopak do wynajęcia.
Look, I don't speak Polish. And, the usual thing is I say I don't speak Polish.
Did you at least understand the first two words?
Yeah. Look, I don't speak Polish, and usually you tell me the title. But look, sometimes I say I don't speak Polish, but I can gather from the amount of words that you say in Polish what the movie is. But I don't know what movie we're doing that has 6 or 7 letters in it. I mean, words.
6 words, yeah. Well, if I translate, Pretty Man, czyli chłopak do wynajęcia, it translates to Pretty Man or Boy to Hire, but, the movie's actually called The Wedding Date.
The Wedding Date. So that's the Polish localized title, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, wow. So we're doing that great 2005 masterpiece, The Wedding Date, which is, I would say, a true blue romantic comedy that we've done on this show, that we're doing on this show, like a proper chick flick romantic comedy. We've done chick flicks before, like Bend It Like Beckham, but that wasn't a romantic comedy.
Although it did have a wedding.
It did have a wedding, though. And, of course, we can't do this episode alone. We always have a guest on the show, and
who better to have on a chick flick movie
than a chick? Indeed. So, our guest is Bartek, in drag. Who would have guessed?
Hello, everyone, it's me in drag.
No, of course, our guest is Rachel Apps.
Hello, listening people.
Hello? You want to speak up there?
Oh, really?
Yep.
You actually want to hear me on this podcast, Ryan?
Yep. Rachel Apps is on the show, everyone.
Do we need to get a new guest in the middle of an episode? This guest has been unenthusiastic.
She seemed pissed off that I asked her to be on this episode. But the funniest part is Rachel asked me to do The Wedding Date. I was like, Rachel, what movie do you want to do when you come on the show? And it's just like, I had to look through a catalogue of movies, and it's just like, The Wedding Date. The Wedding Date. Do you like weddings?
Yeah, I like weddings.
What about them do you like? I've only been to one.
Yeah, they're just fun.
They're fun?
Exciting celebrations, dancing, alcohol.
Have you been married yourself?
No.
No. So, what's the biggest part of someone else's wedding have you been? Have you been in the bridal party?
And take notes, Ryan.
Yeah.
Take notes, Ryan.
I've been a flower girl and a bridesmaid, both twice.
Ah, which one's better, flower girl or bridesmaid?
Flower girl, less pressure.
Really? Because if you fuck up being a flower girl, everyone's gonna notice. Because they'll be like, she couldn't even do one thing right, and that is flowering people with flowers. Like, what is a flower girl's responsibility? You just walk down the aisle and throw flowers?
I didn't even have to... The flower part wasn't part. I just had to walk in a straight down line.
So
down
you were
the
just a
aisle.
girl?
Yeah, I was just the little girl that went
So
down the aisle.
you were just a girl, and that's why we brought you on in this episode, because I feel like just 2 guys or 3 guys talking about this romantic comedy without a feminine presence would be wrong and unjust towards this film, because I will be honest with you, listeners, this movie was a bit of a hard tackle for both Bartek and I. Like, this movie has so many questions. So many questions for me in particular, but this one was a little bit harder to just kind of ease into with the other movies, because I feel like the other movies we've done have been more catered towards kind of a more masculine sensibility, or they've at least been overtly funny, or at least they've been overtly this and this. But this film's really subtle, wouldn't you say, Bartek?
Yeah, I guess Bend It Like Beckham also not so much masculine.
Well, yeah, but Bend It Like Beckham had sports.
And it focused
Yeah,
on 2
women's
females.
sports.
Yeah, but...
Two female characters.
Yeah, 2 female characters. Hold on there, Bartek. Women's sports is still very interesting.
I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying, is women's sports more inherently catered towards men or masculine sensibilities? Or...
I don't know. Not netball, but soccer. Soccer. Yes. I don't know. You could argue. Female soccer players of a professional league titling who play in America, like
okay, what
people
about
from Bend It Like Beckham?
What about women's
Do tell
sports
us.
with the issue of girls don't play soccer
Well,
from a family?
well, that's that movie's issue. But this movie is not that movie. This movie is The Wedding Date with Debra Messing, who is from Will and Grace. Did you ever watch Will and Grace?
No, is that the show about 2 women who are together?
No,
No.
it's called Will and Grace. It's about
Who do you
like
think Will is?
Will
I
is
haven't
not our
se-
guest.
No, I haven't seen it, but I remember there was like some show with a similar title. It's about lesbians or something.
Dharma and Greg. I don't know. 2 broke girls.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not big up on the lesbian TV show culture, but Will and Grace is about gay people. Yes, it's like Will is very gay, and his friend Jack is very gay, and Grace is not gay.
Okay,
She's
so-
not gay, is she?
No.
She's straight.
No,
like her
she-
problem is she's the straight one amongst all these gay people,
Yeah,
right?
and
Except for the other chick who also happens to be.
Okay, so
Oh, yeah. But
Or is she bisexual? Because that's that
No.
other female character in Will and Grace. I can't remember. Karen. Karen is such a slut.
yeah,
It's to the point in which I don't know. I can't remember if she likes men or women or everything. Really, she's that much of a slut.
that was the show I was thinking of. I just didn't know the premise.
Yeah.
Also, I think we're delving really far. I think we should just start the movie soon.
Talking about sluts, let's start The Wedding Date, because this movie has quite a few sluts, doesn't it, Bartek? Think about it.
I guess.
I
The hookers
guess.
count?
What?
Do hookers count?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's male and female sluts. This is very diverse. Let's start this masterpiece in 3, 2, 1, play.
Gay. That was a little joke from me because apparently gay is a joke.
No, it isn't. Don't say that, Bartek. That's really offensive.
There are no gay people in this movie, right?
I didn't really note down
no.
who was gay. Like, a lot of the times during these movies, I do that stupid man thing in which I'm like, pfft, that's pretty gay. Or like, pfft, he's pretty gay. Or whatever, but
I do that too.
I don't really mean it. Or do I? You always think, would this movie be improved if it was gay?
If who was gay?
The film, like, if the film was
film itself
gay
was
orientated, so instead of like her and him, it's him and him.
I wouldn't mind a movie about a gay wedding.
Yeah, My Big Fat Greek Wedding too?
Is that about a gay wedding?
No. Did you hear the title? My Big Fat Greek Wedding too? That's, no.
Her last name is Ellis, though.
Cat Ellis.
Yeah.
Yeah? What's wrong with that? Is there a pun involved? I didn't...
Well, as we will discover later, she's not like his biological daughter.
yeah,
Like,
but
she's taken his name.
No, because she met him at a very young age. He
Oh,
says the English father in this movie, who's her stepdad, says like this story about when he realized he was a dad, and it was just like she was like a small child or whatever, and she was like a monster, and he's like, that's when I knew I was going to be a dad. It's really emotional. What's really emotional, Bartek, is that this opening credits sequence goes for a very long time.
Tell you what's emotional. One of those ads in the newspaper said knight in shinning armor.
Holy
They
crap.
misspelled shining.
Shinning?
It's like this. That was like a Simpsons joke.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
know.
the shining, it's the shinning.
Amy Adams is in this movie. She plays the emotional character, Amy. It's like she didn't want to get too deep into the character. Like, you know how these people are, these actors and actresses. They get too deep into the character and they kind of forget who they are.
I am appalled that the main character, Kat, is not played by Kat Dennings.
I am also appalled. But I'm more appalled that she's not paying proper attention to her dental care because she's, like, scrubbing way too hard.
Yeah, she's very intense about the teeth brushing. I feel sorry for her dentist having to deal with that afterwards.
She wasn't quite ready for him. Ah, yes. Movies in which every line of dialogue could also be in a porno.
Mm-hmm.
But don't get too excited, Bartek. As you can tell, Bartek's not too keen on this movie. Now tell us your true feelings, Bartek. I know that you know this is an unappreciated masterpiece, but it doesn't resonate with you quite yet, does it?
No, the thing with me was that, like, in my first viewing of it, I had a lot of things going on the side, so I wasn't too
You didn't
invested
need it.
in the movie. But it was like, it's unfair on my part.
That's exactly what this movie went through, I think. A lot of people had a lot of stuff going on back in 2005, and they just couldn't pay attention to a romantic comedy about a wedding in England. You know, people were like, oh, Will and Grace chick, I'll just watch Will and Grace. You know, that's the problem. This movie just didn't get the attention it needed, and thank God we're here today. When I saw these pictures, I was like, oh, I didn't know her boyfriend was Jason Segel from How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, and like the one movie the one I mainly think of her from is the one where she is engaged to Jason Segel.
Which one's that?
The Muppets.
Oh, I thought it was going to be that one, Along Came Polly, where she's engaged. No, she's just freshly married to Ben Stiller, and she cheats on him on their honeymoon with Hank Azaria, the voice of Apu from The Simpsons.
And a lot of other characters. Yeah.
And a lot of others. I think it's Apu. And he's just, like, really, really buff. She plays a lot of characters that involve weddings, doesn't she? She's either just freshly married, or just engaged, or just a bridesmaid. What's happening?
Was she in Bridesmaids?
Was she?
I don't think she was.
I doubt
I
it.
feel like that's just what happens to, like, average-looking middle-aged women.
Are you
who
sure?
are actresses that just, like, because it's a big life event for women, so it's just like, yeah, that's just...
How big of a life event is it, Rachel? You're a woman. Tell us, because for me, I don't really care.
That's great to know, Ryan. That
No.
You don't care about
Well,
getting married.
Well, no, marriage will be a thing that will happen, but it's not like I'm thinking like, what's going to be worn, or what's the song to dance to, or like who will be
Oompa
there.
Loompa.
An Oompa Loompa will be there.
No, the
So
song.
I didn't know I was inviting you.
Dance to that.
No, that would be your wedding song, mate. When you get married to whoever you choose. Asking for Trouble is this book it's based on. Is this the first movie where it's... I don't know. Is this the first based on a book movie we've done?
No, I'm pretty sure we've had... Wasn't Bend It Like Beckham one?
No.
No, it wasn't.
Wait.
I'm dead sure there was a movie that was based on a book.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Big Fat Liar was based on that great Greek story of Oedipus. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so I was watching this last night, Bartek, and I was arguing with Rachel about she works like the airport, and it's like, no. He's followed her to the airport, and I'm like, no. They both have lanyards, and he's clearly holding a walkie-talkie. They both work at this airport, and you think like it's going to be this thing, like, oh, she works at the airport. There's going to be some kind of payoff of some sort, but it's just like no. She works for Virgin, you know, advertisement, I guess.
Yeah, another thing with me, sort of, my main thing with this movie was the beginning part was the part that I was paying the least amount of attention to. So throughout the whole movie, I was like, Was she an employee at that airport? Because that hasn't really come back at all.
Or did she just break into this airport?
Because this shot right here, where she's clearly
Working
behind the
for
desk.
the airport?
Well, not working, just simply behind the desk. I was like,
You thought that she was a criminal?
no, I was just
What
like,
she's doing could be acts of terrorism to you.
no. All I'm saying is that it's not really talked about, and the simple fact that she's there and it's not a big deal really implies that she works there.
Yeah. Rachel, any thoughts?
She checked in 15 minutes before an international flight.
Yeah, Bartek, you've flown internationally. I haven't. Can you do that?
Well, I mean,
Like check in
you'd
15 minutes before it takes off.
You'd be an idiot.
Yeah, but will they allow you?
I don't think
Because
they
Tiger
do.
Air
I think-
wouldn't.
I-
Because Tiger Air love anal sex because they like to fuck you in the ass. But go on.
I've never come that late before.
Yeah, you have.
Well, I mean, they don't call me early. They call me late. But no, I've never been that late to a flight before. So like the biggest thing for me was actually this was on my last sequence of trips, halfway through 2015. On the way back from Holland to Melbourne, the very first flight we were on was really delayed, so that by the time we landed in the second airport, we had to pretty much rush all the way to the next flight and have to like wait for us.
It's
and
always a
everything.
worry, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty much the biggest thing for me. I've never been late to the airport for a flight.
Well, that's good. That's good. Have you ever flown first class?
No, like most flights, we have to walk through first class to get to our economy seats.
Does it look like this, where they're like weird pods? Because I
the-
haven't
the
seen a
first-
plane that looks like this.
the first-
I haven't been on international flights, so I imagine the first class is different on international than domestic.
The first classes I've seen look a bit nicer than this.
Yeah, but this is 2005. Even for 2005 standards, would you say it was shit?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on flights back around then a few times, and yeah, there were much nicer looking seats. These look pretty economy.
Hear that, Rachel? This movie, they couldn't even afford to get them the good first class for Virgin. They give them like the rat shit.
No,
first
well,
class.
no. To be fair, these seats are definitely better than any seats I've ever had.
Oh yeah, but this is like they're in first class.
Like
So
the
they got
first
no
class,
running by the pool in first class.
the first classes that I've seen, the seats look a bit more couch-like than this.
Mm-hmm. Well, she fell asleep, and now she's like rat shit ugly. That's the joke. Like she's ugly and he's attractive. Rachel, is he attractive?
Sort of.
What do you mean?
He's not extremely attractive. I think you don't look at him and go, he's a prostitute, like he's hot enough to be a gigolo.
I think he.
kinda guy.
Really, Bartek, you know men. Is he? Does he look like a gigolo? I mean, Rob Schneider was a European gigolo for a while, so if he could be a European gigolo,
Well, I mean-
can't Dermot here?
Hold on, Rachel does have a point. He doesn't look like Rob Schneider.
Yeah, he does. What's surf ninjas for people who look like Rob Schneider? Hint: he's in it.
Rob Schneider did look like Rob Schneider.
He did look like Rob Schneider.
It's
I mean,
amazing how he looks like himself.
Let's ask this question: is there any male in this movie more attractive than Nick here?
Yeah. I think that the guy getting married is more attractive.
Ed?
Ed's got a nicer thing going on. Like, he's got that typical British gentleman thing going on. Am I right? Ed's hotter. Ed's hotter than Dermot McPlank of Woodface.
Yes, I believe that Ed is hotter than Nick.
Okay, cool.
What do you think, Bartek? You know, is it this old guy here with his pint?
No,
'Cause
there,
he was pretty
no.
attractive.
Stan Lee's the most attractive. person
Oh
in
my
this movie.
god, Rachel!
I did the same thing!
There was a bit last night where at the end, like
Oh,
spoiler,
you found out at the end.
spoiler alert. There's a bit at the end in which these three people, two girls and a boy, like
These
emerge.
children.
Yeah, that's why I said girls and boys, not men and women. Girls and boys. Like run out from underneath this table where the presents are,
Yeah.
and at first I thought, is that where Jeffrey ran off to and he's having sex with two women? But then you clearly see that they're children.
Why the hell did you think it was Jeffrey?
Because I was like, oh, when's Jeffrey gonna come back? I thought Jeffrey was gonna come back.
Didn't you hear the line? He's halfway to France.
Yeah, but I thought he's gonna come back because of story, and also because I
Okay.
looked at the runtime and there was still like another half hour left. So I was like, oh, Jeffrey's
Wait,
gonna
at that
come.
scene there was half an hour left from
I'm
the kids.
pretty sure.
Wasn't the credits about to start like 2 seconds later?
No, because when that happened, he was still chasing after Jeffrey, and the wedding had not even properly begun.
Weren't they all sitting in their seats?
Maybe. I can't remember. But the point is, there was a bit where there's like this old man who was shushing them away from the presents. Rachel's like, "Oh look, Stan Lee's in this."
He's been in throughout this movie.
Do you know that Stan Lee's in the Princess Diaries too?
I haven't seen it.
Okay,
so
she gets married in the Princess Diaries, and Stan Lee makes a Stan Lee makes a cameo in it, and it's unknown why he's in it because it's not a Marvel movie, and it was before Disney owned Marvel, so it's like, why is he in this?
Rachel wants to say something.
How rude is that relative just going, it should have been you that has gotten married? Like, she hasn't seen her in presumably years. Because it's been 2 years since she got dumped. And it's just like, it should have been you. It's so unfortunate that you got awfully treated this long time ago by this awful man who's also here at this party.
Well, it's an English thing to be a cunt. Just saying. I don't know if she was... I'm pretty sure she was an English relative.
See the Thunderpants episode.
See the Thunderpants episode for English people being cunts.
English people being the devil.
Now, here's something. Now, I said this movie raises a lot of questions. For pretty much most of this movie, now, Bartek, you weren't paying fullest of attention as you could have.
At this point, I got better.
Yeah, you got better. And Rachel, you were in and out because you've seen this before. And I've seen this before too, but here's my story of seeing it. I saw it when I was very young, when it first came out. My parents were over their friend's place, and they were watching it. And being a young kid, I wasn't really interested, so I was like zipping in and out of the movie. And I came back in towards the end and watched the bit where... which has always stuck with me as like a really funny bit of a movie, and I could never remember. But the bit at the end where the groom, what's his name again? Ed, where he's kind of watching everything unfold, and he just walks over to the best man. He's like, "Hey, what's happening?" And it's like, "Oh no, don't worry about it." It's like, No, there seems to be like a big commotion. What's happening? It's like, "Don't start catching on now, buddy." Okay, and like he says that to him, and Ed's facial reaction is just a big smile, like, "Okay, I won't," and just walks off.
That was nice.
That always caught me as a kid. It's still grown with me over the decade that has passed since. But this movie raises a lot of questions because you know what it does? It keeps you in the dark for most of the movie. Like, they have one-off lines every now and then, like, "He's the stepdad," but then you have to work out, like, oh, is she English? Like, I didn't know for a large period of the movie who was supposed to be English and who wasn't. Like, Amy Adams is clearly supposed to be English, but her accent fluctuates in and out, where I'm like, wait, is she? Or is she just a slut? I don't know.
Do you reckon a bit more exposition could have saved this movie?
This movie is like... Good thing about this movie is, we've said this before, a rule of thumb is show, don't tell. But some movies like to tell, such as Tarantino movies. They're all dialogue movies. So sometimes you have movies that tell, don't show. And then you have movies like this, which is just tell and tell and tell and tell and tell. Because this movie is like 85% to 95% exposition.
By the way, anyone who happens to be watching this alongside Stan Lee, anyone who happens to be watching this movie alongside us, can you recognize who the mother is?
I'm pretty sure that's Julie Andrews.
Yes, Ryan, you started right at the beginning and you pointed out the answer, but the answer was wrong.
No! Who is it? Rachel, do you have an idea?
I have no idea what her name is.
I think it's like Debra something.
Deborah's the main actress.
Uh-oh, I got the mistaken.
Who is it, Bartek? I'm on the edge of my seat because she's being a major cunt right now.
Who?
The mum. She's being a major cunt right now. She's all like...
Yeah, that was very...
Like, who the hell are you? I get it that you're her mum, but like, far out. Like, guys, does your mum publicly disgrace you with a microphone in front of all your friends and loved ones who already know what's happened? Because I know mine surely
Friends, loved
do.
ones, and Stan Lee.
Stan Lee's a loved one. We all love Stan.
Yeah.
So, who's the mum? I'm on the edge of my seat.
A lot of people might recognize the mum from a show called 2.5 Men.
Ah, I recognised her from Saved by the Bell of the college years as the dean.
Yeah, she was the dean.
I liked her much better than the other teacher guy. He sucked.
Yeah, there were a lot of like one-off teach.
Mr. Belding, he sucked.
No, Mr.
No comparison.
Mr. Belding only had a cameo in the college years.
Yeah, that's why he sucked.
He
in
brought a
comparison to the dean.
he brought a turkey when they couldn't have a turkey on Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Isn't that a nice thing for Mr. Belding to do?
Oh, Jesus. So
That's
she's
his-
the mum from 2.5 Men.
Yes.
And she's a bitch in that, and
I was
she's a
about to say,
bitch in
she
this.
She's a bitch to one of her sons.
I'm not
She's
sure
bitched
if
about
you were paying attention, but I think our subtitles said colleges instead of gynecologist.
No.
Well, she's the dean.
So everyone, now that we've had all the characters really burst onto screen, who's your favourite? Like, once you watched it, who's your favourite?
I really like the stepdad.
Stepdad, the English stepdad?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Rachel? Did you have a fave?
I really like the extra with the unicorn tattoo.
Oh, brilliant. Wait.
I don't know who that
Here's the classic moment of the film. It's like, oh, good God, I think I just came.
You misspelled
I think I
cum.
just come. It's like, dear Lord, she is almost my favourite character because that line of dialogue. But my favourite character is easily Jeffrey,
Yeah.
the ex, because we have talked on this show before about bullies and antagonists, and he's clearly the antagonist.
Not a bully, but an antagonist. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But all these characters have something in common. And it's either that they go through a great amount of deal and change dramatically for reasons unknown or known to the plot, such as in Big Fat Lie, the bully changes for no reason. And then you get characters that are like Paul Giamatti in most movies, where it's like they go through all this stuff and literally learn nothing at the end. And this movie actually must have listened to us from the past. It tapped into us now and heard that and wrote, let's have a character called Jeffrey, who's like a real sleazeball, and he literally learns nothing, and we even put that in writing at the end of the movie. That's why he's my favourite. At first I was like, he's barely in this movie, but then the line, and Jeffrey learned nothing, just completed his character. He was the best. I also like all of them.
Yeah, you're handsome. Yeah.
Eddie there. So,
Well, come on, don't try to give him names like the Egg Man.
the Edster. Oh, yeah. So, this is one of the few times in which the idea that he's a therapist pays off. Yeah, I thought, okay, Rachel, you've seen this movie before.
Yes.
So you had expectations, you had memories of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen it bits and parts through the years, but not properly. I thought, and Bart's like, you hadn't seen it at all. I thought when she was like, oh, you're a therapist, blah, blah, blah. I thought, like, with a scene like this, in which, like, this guy opens up to him, like, Jeffrey opens up to him, I thought, like, all the characters were going to do that, like, bring up the fact that he's a therapist and be like, yeah, like, open up to him, maybe some comedy ensues.
Like, it would build up this idea of, you really are a therapist.
Yeah. But I guess not. Did you find this movie funny, guys?
I suppose they didn't want to overplay that joke.
Yeah.
With me,
it's a subtle movie.
What I thought it was going to go like this. I didn't think that Nick and... what's my character? Kat. I didn't think that they were going to get together. I thought that Nick was...
Yeah.
I thought that Nick was going to be like this magical person she's hired that'll make everything good. Because he seems so wise and stuff.
I thought he was going to, like, help them patch up their relationship troubles.
Yeah, I thought
she was going to get back with her ex.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to be this magical unicorn.
It was going to be like this Mary Poppins thing. Well, I'm done here.
And then he puts his umbrella up and blows away in the wind. And he just starts whistling and singing about being a gigolo. Oh, to be a gigolo.
Rachel had some vocal opposition to what I just said, I think.
You just haven't watched enough rom-coms to understand that she gets into that situation and then through the plot they explain that she is not ready to move on, but through this process and through getting to know him, she becomes open to love again.
I saw Bridesmaids.
Excuse me. We have both watched romantic comedies. We watched the great romantic comedy Meet Dave, and that taught us all about romance and comedies combined in one genre.
Ryan,
I'm just saying.
do you think I can slap you loud enough that would come up on the mic red?
Why would you do that? I'm telling you, Meet Dave and this movie had a lot in common. For one, most of the characters are aliens to me in this movie because they don't speak like people. I think that's one of the downfalls of this movie. I said it jokingly before, but this movie is a lot of exposition. And exposition is in which you dispense dialogue that the audience so the audience can understand the plot movements for the future, like, oh, this, and this, and understand the characters without actually having character moments necessarily. But there's no reason why this movie can have a weakness like that and still can't be a great film. I mean, lots of movies have exposition, of course, like narration is a form of exposition, and on it goes. But this movie is just 90% exposition. Like, for the first, I would say, 45 minutes, everyone's just dispensing
And that's
us...
over half the movie.
Yeah. Everyone's just dispensing us information such as, this person did this. I'm going here because of this. My motivation is this, and this. And I find it refreshing to be told, not to just absorb.
I guess that makes it kind of feel a bit more like a book, I guess.
Yeah.
Like like best of both worlds of a book and a movie.
Rachel, you've read books. Is this like a book? Because it's based on one.
Do you remember the alphabet?
Yeah. Do you know how to structure
I don't know
sentences?
I don't know how to speak Polish or know the Polish
We're talking about English, don't worry
yeah,
about Polish.
English, I'm pretty good. I majored in literature, so I know like a little bit about books at this point.
Do you know what their shapes are?
Squiggle.
Yeah, like there are several books in this room. They are all mine, and they are all slightly different shapes.
Oh, yeah, they kind of look like DVDs, don't they, Ryan?
Yeah, they're mine. So this movie is now setting up. They're now setting up the fact that this guy has more than two dimensions to him. Because at the moment being, we haven't got to know much about him. All we know is he's a male gigolo. You know, we know that. But why is he a gigolo? Why is he an escort? What's his story? Is there more to him than just the sex? I think there is.
Well, he does.
I just want the audience who are watching along to take note of how abs he is.
He's got
Because
good abs.
I do believe that he is more abbed at the end of the film. Like,
No, I
towards
think
the middle of the film.
I think it's different. We're already towards the middle. I think it's different because at this point he's relaxing, but near the end he has to run and kind of buff out. Like, you know, he has to tense those muscles.
I'm talking about the scene in the boat.
Yeah,
like-
well, he's just had sex. I mean, come on. What about this scene in which
She's very, oh my goodness.
she's like, oh my good lord, a penis? Oh, I've never encountered one of those. But this is where it confused. Okay, this is where it confused me. Like, is she supposed to be British? Because she's got a British sensibility about her. I mean, there's two British sensibilities in this movie, which is, good lord, you're not married, you're a spinster, and the other one, which is, oh, I just come.
Maybe
Two very different sensibilities.
Hold
There's
on.
no in between.
she grew up here in London, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my kid.
So she's probably never. Well, I mean, unless she's had relations in America, she's probably only used to uncircumcised penises. Maybe since he's American, he's circumcised. And it's like, oh my goodness.
Oh my good gravy. No. I like that's a really interesting thought that you went through. Okay, so that's not what I've thought about. Now, I'm going to just talk for a bit, guys, because I did ask this question whether or not she's English, not English, and I had to explain this to Bartek before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
So I thought I need to explain this to you. Here's how the story goes. Now, this is like Inception in the levels that it has of complexity. But here's what happened. Her, the main character, Kat, and her mother, who's also called, what's the mum's name?
Bunny.
Bunny. Kat and Bunny. Get it? It's a joke.
I just got that.
Kat and Bunny are from America, right? And Bunny married the stepfather, who is English and has an English family.
And my favorite character.
And he's Bartek's favorite character. And Kat met him when she was very young. She's very young. And she's only, I would say, a couple years older than Amy. And then the mum and stepdad married, and they had Amy, and they moved over to England and lived a life there. And then Kat's obviously moved back to America for work at the airline, which is good enough because that makes you travel all around the world. So she can still pop in and say hey to her family every now and then. So that is that, okay? Because I know it sounds very simple, but this movie is very complicated, isn't it? Because it took me really, really long to figure that out.
Yeah, and once you figured it out, you could explain it to me.
Yeah, because you could figure it out.
I was like kind of taking things for granted, like, oh yeah, okay, she's British
really,
mother.
Really, really yeah. And okay, the mum. I think we haven't given her enough credit. She's a bitch, isn't she, Rachel?
Yes.
But the actress plays bitches all the time, I think.
The few roles that I can think of. Yeah.
She put a lot of effort in because Bunny is American. But what Bunny does in this movie is when she's around the family, like the ones that are respectable, family and friends that aren't the closer circle, she puts on a bit of a hoity-toity accent. But then when she gets emotive, she lets it slip. There's a bit later in which Jeffrey's like, oh, can I have a moment of your daughter's time? And she's like, you've had 7 years. And she goes on and on and on. She lets that accent slip. And I think good acting there. I think we should all applaud it.
Very subtle.
Very, very subtle. Very subtle. Because Bartek thought she was just English. But she's not. She's not. So, Rachel, who's really your favourite character? You were just like some random extra in the background that we never see again. It's okay, you can say the cousin. The slaggy cousin.
No, Ed is my favourite character.
Why is that? What is it so lovable about Ed? Is it because he's the only genuinely nice person in this story?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's pretty much it. And he's just an oblivious idiot.
No, yeah, I relate to that.
I like how, despite the fact that he's the nicest, he's also the only one that like tries to instigate some sort of violence.
What do you mean?
Well, like he chases Jeffrey. And...
Yeah, but is he not allowed to?
I'm not saying he isn't justified, but I'm just saying he's the only one that does.
Yeah, well, look, this isn't a fighting movie.
No, I know it's not a Street Fighter. I know it's not Street Fighter, but...
Could you imagine if this was Street Fighter? Claude Van Damme came in.
If there was a, like, fighting game adaptation of this, that would
The
be
wedding
great.
date, and it's just like one chase scene.
I want to see Nick's, like,
She's
special
really
move.
working it hard here.
Who, Jeff?
Yeah, I was...
She.
Oh, I thought he said he, sorry.
I was sort of confused by her attitude towards Jeffrey.
She wants to win him back.
Yeah,
But
I was
also
like,
she
that's-
despises him.
That's what I thought, but then there were scenes where she was like going too far to. I guess she was trying to make him jealous. It's like, does she not want to get back? With
No.
him? Does she want to?
Now, Bartek, obviously, you haven't been broken up with properly before.
I have, but
You with your mum?
no.
Well, what happens is women are different to us, where we'll just be like, oh, take it or leave it. Apparently, Rachel, don't get me wrong, you're a woman, you can correct me.
It's a
but
strategy.
movie women and real women, I guess, is the strategy of, I've got to win them back, but I can't just tell them that I want them. I've got to make them jealous and make them emote towards me about their feelings, and then I can be like, me too.
Yeah, she's got to make him want her again.
But at one point, it seems like she doesn't want him anymore.
Yeah, because she doesn't. She's
falling
falling in love
with
with Nick for
Okay.
an unknown reason.
Yeah, and I wasn't because and I said I wasn't really thinking that's where it was going. So I guess that was my.
Well, excuse me. He's been an escort at someone's funeral. I was saying for ages.
No, he wasn't.
No, he's like, he went as an escort with someone to a funeral.
No, but the joke he made was that he went to a funeral.
No, I
Wasn't
thought...
it? Because he said he went alone.
Ah.
No, it was imagined facing that alone.
Oh,
Like, as
imagine
in the
facing.
woman or man that he has taken to a funeral in
Had
his
to do-
Oh, I was like,
profession.
imagine if she didn't hire me.
Yeah,
Then-
imagine-
Yeah, like imagine if they
Oh,
did it alone.
I misinterpreted that line to be like, yeah, I did it by myself.
Like I escorted myself.
Like, my
he's-
family died. I went to a funeral.
I'm Bruce Wayne. Damn it. Yeah. No, I like the fact that his hair is immaculately groomed throughout this movie, and I think that really speaks to his character because her hair is messy and kind of not well done. Like, she's a frantic character, but he's cool, calm, and collected, and it matches with his outfit and his hair. While with her, she's all over the place. It's good work, costume, and hair people of the wedding date. I will say.
I hope they got nominated.
I hope they can hear us now.
This scene right here is quite magical.
I was whimsied. Can I also mention the fact that she's going to a golf-themed bachelorette party? I just love that it's a golf themed. Like
Is
the
it?
dude, yeah, that's why she's wearing like the little neckerchief and the socks and whatever. You'll see.
The pattern.
And
I
the
just thought it was
pattern
like
is
British.
very-
No. It was like golf themed bachelorette. Well, look, no offense. I thought the guys would have a like gentleman themed or a themed bachelor party too, because it's kind of cool in movies. But in this, they're like, nah.
Let's just have strippers. Strippers is
And we don't even get to see titties in this movie. I was really disappointed. I
We
thought,
s-
oh, it's strippers, and I'm
We
like,
see parts of hers.
yeah, but not nips. No nips.
Yeah,
no
no
full
nips.
boobage.
but let's be honest. Are the nips the best part?
It completes the boob.
But are they the best part?
They're pretty great.
You want to see the full picture of the boobs.
You want to see the full boobage.
full boobage.
Okay.
Because then you can, like, what's the best part, Bartek? Is it the under boob, the side, the top? Who knows where you end?
Yeah, I guess we all are just different beings.
Like, Bartek likes the back of the boobs? Yeah, no, right? I'm shocked too.
I like the blood of the boobs.
No truer statement has been uttered by Bartek throughout this whole entire show. Oh
Except
my lord.
I'm Bartek.
No, not even that. Not even that.
He's Yoda. It's a joke because he's magic, like I said.
Wait, was that said as like Bartek in drag or male Bartek?
Oh no, Bartek in drag doesn't like blood. It's
Bartek in-
hemophobic.
Yeah. So I really do love
Don't
the.
tell him about my blood. Oh, that's not even the voice I did. Forget
I
it.
do love the slaggy cousin. We haven't talked about her enough. There's that moment where we like stop, wait, where she's like, "Oh, I just come." I was saying this last night to Rachel. How awkward as fuck would it be if you're standing there with your cousin and they're looking at your partner, your boyfriend or girlfriend, and they were just like ogling them in front of you, and you're like, okay, I can deal with that. And then they're like, "Oh, I just come," and you haven't seen this person in 2 years.
No, everybody at the bachelor party is fawning over him.
Well-
Like everybody's checking him out and trying to kiss him.
She doesn't care because he's a male prostitute, so yeah.
But now she's marking her territory.
Yeah, with her urine.
Because she probably feels like she has to. I mean, everyone's gonna be like, "Why isn't she defending your territory or whatever?"
What do you think? How do you think he got that scar on his lip? Because I wonder if, like, I know the actor has it, but if we had to come up with an idea for the character, because we don't know much about him. Like, we don't know how he became an escort. Like, we get an idea that he
Like
likes
a magical hooker. He's got a magical backstory.
Yeah.
The backstory was explained when she was sitting on the toilet.
No, but
Didn't he
even
make that up?
he made that up. Both stories, the one written in the magazine and the story he told her, he's like, they're made up. We don't know why he's a prostitute. We don't know his backstory. We don't know anything about him. Like,
Just like Tommy Wiseau.
oh my god, is he making a movie called The Room? Who knows? Maybe it is him. I mean, he's got a weird dark-haired European look about him.
The Disaster Artist has this whole big backstory about him, but then at the end it's like, I don't think this is true. It's just one story I heard.
See, I thought that it was he told the truth in the article and then he was just messing with her.
But his article story was so vague.
Why would
He was a sexual surrogate and then eventually got into the
Yeah, but how did he
prostitute
get into
business.
that?
Why would he tell the truth?
Why would he tell the
Because
truth?
he thought he was anonymous.
Because he's a magical hooker.
Somehow, okay. Oh, now this. Okay. This scene brought up something, Bartek, that I think you would enjoy as a theory. I don't know, maybe not. But I had a revelation when watching, I keep forgetting his name. Ed.
Jeffrey, Ed? Yeah.
Ed. I think he's drunk all the time.
There's the nipple suck.
There was somebody sucking on the glass nipple there. See, someone else, someone else like the ice sculpture, but somebody else like nipples. See, Bartek. But I have a theory that Ed is constantly drunk, not just in this movie alone, but in their backstories. Because in this conversation, he had to remind him of this event, and each time he was reminding him, it was more and more obvious this event. And then he said something really obscure, and then he was like, "Oh yeah," and I get the feeling like Ed is an alcoholic. Because throughout most of the movie, he's really wasted. And when he's not, He's
now
pretty
she-
slurred and stumbling around the place until he gets energized enough to want to chase someone. And then he can't even chase him because he's so unfit and staggering all over the place. It makes me feel like, is he drunk all the time? Like, is Ed perpetually drunk? That's something I just thought about last night. What do you think, Bartek, now that that light has been shone on that mystery?
Whether or not he is always drunk or hungover or under some sort of influence, I think that his characterization is what makes him lovable.
I think so too. He's got this naive, bunny-like charm about him.
When you say bunny, do you mean the animal or the mum?
Both.
You missed the reference to Australia.
What was that, sorry?
You missed the reference to Australia.
What did they say?
They mentioned Sydney.
Oh yeah, the guy's like, oh, I thought you were in San Francisco. Or was it Nepal? It was like, close, Sydney. And then he was like, I didn't get there. I went
Sydney
somewhere else.
Nolan's house.
Oh my lord, who's Sydney Nolan again?
An artist.
Ah.
He has this one drawing of like Sydney Harbour, and it's like drawn like a child drew it, and it's one of his big art
Oh, that
pieces.
one.
Have you seen that before?
Yeah. That's a
was
famous
funny.
one.
Also, Woody. Hi, Woody. Are you a character in this movie?
Apparently. Woody's...
Yes, he's in the title cards at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where else is he?
He's at the wedding.
Huh?
He's at the wedding.
Is he? What was his lines at the wedding?
Just because he didn't have so many lines doesn't mean that he's
Okay,
not a
what was his
character.
point at the wedding?
To get with
The slutty cousin.
the slutty cousin.
Did that happen?
That's in the
Yeah.
title cards at the end. Spoiler, this movie ends with title cards where it's like, this person ended up like this and this and this. And with the slutty cousin, it's like, she found out why they called him Woody. And then you see them dancing together.
Oh, that's right. That was a line.
So yeah,
I guess you just paired the spares.
like in Sorority Boys. Big
Oh,
Johnson.
Yeah, that's true. Big Johnson and Doofer and all that. They all
So
got people.
this movie is really emotional. So Rachel, why was it this movie? What about this movie made you go, this is an unappreciated masterpiece? Because, to be honest, it flown under my radar. Like, I have that childhood memory of it, but I didn't remember its name. I remembered nothing else other than Jack Davenport's great performance. And that, I should have credited that as being worthy of an unappreciated masterpiece. But why this one, Rachel? What is it?
As you mentioned, that you have overlooked chick flicks, and this is a forgotten masterpiece.
Yeah.
There's a lot of effort that went into this film, a lot of parts. It's very subtle, very artistic.
Artistic. So, what was your experience with this movie? How did you see it? Did you see it in the cinema? Did you buy it on DVD? Did you rent it? What's your love affair with The Wedding Date?
I believe my mum rented it on DVD, and
Yeah.
then we got it a couple of other times as well.
So, wait. This was a multiple viewing one.
Yes.
Isn't that great? This movie... See, not only you, but there's someone else out there in the world that was like, I needed to watch this movie again and again and again. I need to go back to Video Easy or Blockbuster, wherever you rent from, and get it again and again and again.
I went to Deb's videos.
We did have a guest on this show who did a similar thing to the movie we watched. We're talking about Surf Ninjas with Sam Noonan.
Yeah. But Surf Ninjas...
And that's where I thought you were going with this. See, you're just like Sam Noonan.
You're just like Sam Noonan, beard and all. Yeah. Rachel looked unimpressed when I said that. I don't know why. So, this movie, I did a bit of trivia on it. And fun fact, this movie, without the length of the running time of the credits,
End credits, I think.
end credits, is 78 minutes long. Pretty sure, or 79. 78 or 79 minutes long. So is this the shortest movie we've done on the show? I'm pretty sure. but-
Possibly. We do sit through the credits of everything.
Yeah, I know, but like...
Yeah. Of things
I
that
don't
you actually
count
want
that
to
as a
watch.
movie,
then-
yeah.
And there's nothing at the end of the credits, during the credits.
No, I was like... When we watched it last night, I was like, oh, the credits are rolling. Oh my god, it's got like another 10 minutes. I thought like, oh, there's going to be like cut scenes in it or anything. Nope. Imagine if this was like the Marvel fandom where it's like at the end of the movie, it's like she's there and like her dad steps in and no, her dad's on the boat out front and it's
With
like
Howard the Duck.
No, she's sitting there and you just hear like a toot toot sound from the boat. She walks out and he's standing there in a full sailor's outfit with a crew and everything. and he's just smoking a pipe, and he's like, "So, you're gonna become part of the team?" And it's just like, you'll see this in The Yachting Date. And it's like, would that be the best?
Considering that he's also my favourite character, yes, that would be the best.
There was a point in which I was arguing with you, Rachel, about the boat. What was my argument with you?
That he doesn't explain the boat. Like, he has a boat for no reason.
And it's just in his driveway.
Yeah, doesn't he have a line like, well, it's not getting any use or something?
Yeah, it's like, well, it's the only time it's been used. I'm like, why is it there? Okay, so, Rachel, the argument was not just that. You were like, oh, I'm pretty sure he has a backstory for this boat. So I was watching it keen for a backstory, like, or maybe he bought it on their honeymoon and it's just never left the driveway because, they haven't found the time. But maybe one day, and I thought maybe at the end of the credits, this is legit. I thought maybe during the end of the credits, you thought you would have seen him on the yacht, like on the boat, out at sea, like him actually using it or something or other. Maybe a little comedy joke ensues where he finds a used condom or something. Like, something with the boat. But instead it's like Titanic, where it's like they're having sex on a weird object. You know what I mean? Like in Titanic, they're on the Titanic having sex in a car. Well, this is they're at at her parents' house having sex in a yacht in a driveway. Very like Titanic.
And this, you're probably not expecting me to bring this up, but GTA 5.
I've played it, so go on.
Do you remember there's a mission really early on where Michael's yacht gets stolen?
Yeah, and you never find out where it went.
It just never gets brought up again. Well, it gets brought up, but just nothing ever comes of that.
Like, you never found out who took his yacht.
Yeah. Do you reckon that was a reference?
Oh my god! He took his yacht? Oh my lord.
No,
this
like
is
the reference of a boat that doesn't really
No.
play into the
The stepdad is a gangster, and he's a part of the GTA Grand Theft Auto universe, and he stole Michael from GTA 5's yacht. Oh my god. Is this
And
even
he shrunk
more
it down, but yeah.
No.
Because that's a boat, that was a yacht.
Video game dimensions are different from real dimensions.
Fair enough. Michael's actually very tiny.
GTA 5 is set after the wedding day.
It's set like 2013.
It's set, but this movie doesn't say it's 2005.
It could be in
This
the future.
movie could be set any day you want. Like, if you told me this movie's set in 2 days, I'd believe you. Because they don't suffer from jet lag at any... They don't suffer from jet lag at any point.
Is there anything in this movie that dates it?
The fact that they don't have cell phones.
Yeah, a lot of the problems that could have been solved would have been solved with... No, I don't think the fashion.
Oh, yes, the fashion.
No, I don't think, because you know what I think? Sorry to interrupt, Bartek. I've got to defend the costumes here. I think the fashion here is timeless in the fact that they wear very simple clothes. See, for him, suits and whatever, and it's all around the wedding, and all the other men are older, so you're like, okay, but her, this is where you're gonna go. Her, right? All of her clothes are unattractive even for 2005 standards. Like, she is awkwardly dressed, and it doesn't matter what time period her clothes are, that transcends time. If you put on the Nutty Professor for the 1970s and you see Jerry Lee Lewis wearing his awkward ass clothing, you'd still be like, if they made that today, you'd probably still wear that.
Yes, but that doesn't explain all of the other guests at the rounders in the park.
But they were playing... What do you mean? They were playing rounders. They were wearing sports outfits and shit.
She's technically wearing
the slutty cousin wasn't.
She was wearing a slutty sports outfit. Well, no, that's the difference. You're saying the 2005 fashions, but it's kind of hard to go when you're going, oh, this person who's a slut, her clothes really date this movie. It's like any slut is going to wear clothes that reveals a lot of skin. That's not the representation of the fashion of then, because I don't remember 2005 being the year of the slut of fashion. That's more like 2011.
No, but the halter top. She's always wearing a halter top.
Yeah, because that's slutty.
No, but
I've never seen anyone wear a halter top and not be slutty. Even Bartek. He's wearing one right now, and I'm thinking, what a slut.
Not shirtless this week.
No.
No.
You go on, Rachel.
I'm disagreeing with you.
So you think the fashion, not boobs, but not proper boobs. It's disappointing.
No.
I mean, she doesn't have much to show, but
She's making a little bit of cleavage happen.
oh, she's cold. Think.
No, but she's like pushing her boobs
I know,
together.
But hey, here's something, Bartek. She would have had to do this scene multiple times. Do you ever think about that? Like, you're an actor, and so am I. You've
I've
worked
been
on...
an extra in things. I've
You've been
seen
an
things
extra.
done over and over again.
Think she would have to done that nude scene over and over again, like where she's not actually showing any nudity, but she does have to be nude. Like maybe she's wearing like what's she called the
Tape.
tape,
Like,
the
I know Austin Powers had tape.
the pasties or whatever. But it'd still be awkward. It would still be awkward.
Yeah, it's like whenever you think
And
of...
she would have to be wet all the time because she's having a shower. So imagine that. That would be fucking.
Well, I know that one of the trivia things, like continuity thing, was like in the scene where they're playing rounders, she like puts water down her
I know, right?
shirt,
And she's
and it gets
completely
wet.
dry.
But then when she goes to bat, it's like not wet. But yeah, but that's a shower, so it would.
So
but I was gonna say, it's like, have you ever seen a thing where like time keeps looping, the same events keep happening? You're like, oh, this time this happened, this time that happened.
Yeah.
You can think of that kind of thing when it comes to takes. Like, oh, how many takes was there where she accidentally didn't cover her nipples or something like that? So a lot of different things could happen in those takes.
He's wasted in this scene. But at first, might I add, I knew they were doing a dance scene, but they're holding hands in a weird ambient, like in a weird like room, and I thought, are they having a seance? The old wedding seance?
It's a very white
I've
room.
only been to one wedding, so I don't know if all weddings have seances.
It seems
Yeah,
like...
but this is the pre-wedding dance
I
lesson.
know.
And
But at first,
you didn't get dance lessons for
No.
that wedding.
oh, Bartek, is this cousin you in this where it's like dances alone?
No?
Then you find I love no.
No, like, no, it's like, no, Ryan.
Look at her dance though. She's like, am I gonna dance?
She's not dancing. She looks like she's looking for a partner, but doesn't realize that there's like an odd number of people, not including
Because
the teacher.
Jeffrey's not there. That's what
But
I
they
gathered.
don't discuss that he's not there.
Ooh, slow-mo. This is like the time they use slow-mo in this movie. So, yeah.
Do you like the tinting?
Yeah.
It was very subtle.
This movie's very subtle. So, I don't find him an attractive guy. I'm just saying. I don't know. Okay, look. You're saying, Ryan, you're being a bit harsher on this movie this time around. I'm not. There's just things you got to point out. There's things I do like. Like, I like the cousin dancing. I like the fact that they got this weird tilt thing going on at the moment. Tint, sorry. And they've got this weird kind of swirling around. Like slow-mo and no slow-mo. I like the dad. There's lots of things I do like. But there's things that the core foundation that I do know are problems, and I recognize them, and I recognize these problems are the reasons why they're unappreciated. And I think the problem is, why do they like each other?
Nick and main character,
Cat.
Cat. Well, like I said many times, I didn't think that they were getting together.
I'm very confused. I think the reason they got together is they're both lonely souls, and they're
Is he
looking for love. Yeah.
Like, again, we don't know much about him.
Yeah, like what
he
happens if you had a wife and kid?
he could have any sort of backstory. He's like the character with like a malleable
Oh my god,
ad-libs past.
he's Hawkeye from the Avengers.
Okay.
Except for you find out Hawkeye's a family and then it's completely ruined. But, oh look, there's the boat! Is he taking the... Oh my god, he actually did use the boat! Holy
Is that the same boat?
shit, it's the
Remember-
boat. It's the boat. Oh my
They
god,
cut-
it's the boat!
It's the summer house, and
Are
there's
you
a
sure?
boathouse.
Yeah.
They took it boating when they were
Wait.
children.
Yeah. We're gonna see who comes out of that car. Oh, I think it's him, man.
It's got to be the dad, right?
Yeah, who else's boat?
Oh, how dare she!
Hello, Bambi. And he's just like, oh,
Darling, please don't do
fuck
that, he
you,
says.
Bambi. Okay, this dress is awkward. Was it supposed to be on her shoulder or not? Make up your mind, cat. Like this.
Wear
strap.
smaller clothes.
Wear less. Wear less. So,
Be more like the slutty cousin.
Well, I mean, we saw more of her tits than the slutty cousin.
yeah. So yeah, this movie raises a lot of questions. Is Eddie drunk? Is she supposed to be English? Why are they in love? She works at an airport? What?
They are now pointing out that she knows nothing about him.
Oh yeah. And he's like, I hate anchovies.
That's not how you spell anchovies.
These subtitles are Not quite as awful as Surf Ninjas were.
When we get any information on him, it's literally like the most mundane thing where at the end of the movie, won't be surprised if he leaves her and he goes back to what he's doing because we don't know him well enough to be shocked if that happened.
He has to leave like a mysterious message like, it's time, or I've got to go back.
No. He's going to leave a mysterious message like, Daddy's got a tinkle. And he's just like, alright. And no context, he's just like, Daddy's got a tinkle. And then we never see him again. So, why is the dad your favourite character?
Isn't he just... He's really funny.
Yeah,
Have you seen his delivery? He's got this...
Well, I found Eddie way funnier. Because he's so likable. Like, look at him in this scene. Like, he's just like...
Well, I think the dad is really likable.
Oh, no, I'm not saying dad isn't. But the dad is the dad. Well, I feel like Eddie is you know, he's more relatable because he's closer to... Not our age, but he's younger. Like, the dad's lived a life. He's raised a family. Eddie's coming into his own. He's starting his new life, this new transition. But he's a lad at the end of the day. He likes a drink. He likes a bit of a shout. But he's still a nice guy. That's why I think and also, he's just really funny because he has some of the funnier scenes, such as the bit where it's like, how do you know so much stuff about stuff? And it's just like...
I think the dad is written really well.
I think
he has a lot of subtleties, like he's got the whole boat thing. He's kind of like an observer to the whole goings on of the movie. He's not too involved in a lot of it. There are a lot of scenes where he's just there, not saying anything. But when he does get things to say, they're always meaningful, and he's got this kind of funny
joie de vivre.
Joie de vivre. He's not French.
I don't speak Polish. Yeah. So, he is the mum.
Your scene.
He is the mum. You still have 7 years of her life with your bullshit and the job. What a bitch. She's like, and now she takes a slug of her drink. She's like,
It's like the Kermit thing, like, but I'll just sit here drinking my tea. What's the line?
I don't know. I don't know Kermit well enough. So, Rachel, while we were talking, we weren't paying close attention. What happened just now? So, all I saw was, what's his name? Jeffrey talking to Amy Adams, who doesn't really look like Amy Adams in this scene, I will be honest.
Jeffrey was trying to get Amy Adams to tell the feelings that she has for him and admit it.
So wait, there's something going on between Amy Adams and Jeffrey? Noble Jeffrey?
And again, I didn't get that when I watched the movie. I thought he was like referring to, for some reason, his jealousy of Nick being with Kat.
There's lots of meanings you could have in this. But he's in this scene, he's trying to explain to her the truth of why he left her. Because throughout this movie, we don't know why he left her. And then we find out.
Yeah, and I didn't find out until Kat found out. Because I just didn't catch it for some reason.
Yeah, look, I don't mean to bash this film, guys. We love it deep down.
I'm just saying
I'm going to bash it just right now. Could this movie have benefited from us not seeing that scene of Jeffrey and Amy? I think it would be better, perhaps, if we didn't, so that way we can keep with the knowledge that she knows. Because I feel like the scenes that Nick has are good, like this one with the dad, in which he's got some backstory on her. But I feel like that revelation would have been more powerful if we got it like Bartek did, in which he didn't know until she knew. But we knew before she knew, and that is a great dramatic technique, but sometimes it is a well-trodden ground. So, wait, I missed this. Why has he got the toothpick thing happening there?
Because it has anchovies on it.
Oh my god, he doesn't like anchovies.
Well, he doesn't, according to the subtitles, he doesn't like a person named
Anchovy.
So, yeah, what you were saying right there, I guess what would make this movie not as appreciated as it should be, because I think on even Rotten Tomatoes it's got like, 10%?
Oh, really? Well, Man of Steel as well.
It's very low. I think it's like just double digits. I think people are harsh on it because it isn't perfect. There are a lot of things that we're even seeing right now that could make it better, but they're just the things that it's got that are good, people just aren't looking at because they look for things that they want more.
That is true. Now, I remember it's one of these things where I'm having a bit of conflicted brain about. When I watched this movie last night, and I can't remember, because when I come up with lots of these movies, there's lots of dots that I connect that I realize, wow, I didn't notice that. But I can't remember. I'm having a flux of, was there something last night that I connected with this movie that was like, oh, whoa, how did we not notice this whilst watching it? Because this movie is very, very subtle, and obviously we're talking through it, so we're not watching it as intently. We're talking about it, engaging each other. But I do think that this movie has so many layers that I think we need to watch it several times. Like, I like this story about, what was it?
Tiny pea pants.
And why is he called Pea Pants?
They don't remember, that's the joke.
They don't know. Come on, bunny. 10 stitches. That's when he pissed his pants. I regret a lot, but no. So this movie has Amy Adams, of course, who plays Lois Lane. So this will be our second movie in a row that has a Superman actor/actress in it. Last week it was Michael Rosenbaum, who's Lex Luthor in Smallville, of course. Not unfortunately, not the current Superman era. But could this movie have been improved if her ex was Superman? Like, wouldn't it be great? There was already a Superman movie called Superman Returns in which it dealt with Lois Lane dating a really great guy and her ex is Superman. But wouldn't it be great if this movie was the exact same except for Jeffrey was Superman and she's Lois Lane?
Wasn't there a movie called, like, My Super Ex-Girlfriend or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
there is. What if, like, Ed thought that it was Superman that she was she was dating when they finally got together, because he was aware that there was another guy, and he was just like, oh, I just think it's Superman.
Well, I think the Superman of this movie would have to be the magical hooker guy, Nick.
Nick? He's
Yeah.
the Superman? What about the dad?
Well, the dad's a dad. Nick's the one with the mysterious backstory.
I remember last night I was having this argument with Rachel about why is the dad washing the boat in the driveway?
Because it gets dirty.
From what?
From just sitting there and
Yeah, but if he takes it in the water, it's going to be fine.
Well, you got to take it to the water.
Yeah, which he's doing.
Yeah, which he's doing now, but he
No, but
hasn't
he didn't.
He hasn't in quite some time, because he's like, I'm glad finally somebody's getting use of her.
Yeah, but what I don't get is why does he need to wash it if he's taking it out on the water tomorrow? Like, he was washing it the day before. He's taking it out on the water today, like this day in the movie. What's the point? It's like, I'd understand if it had barnacles and shit on it, but it was a perfectly fine looking boat. I like the idea that maybe it's like the thing he does to get away from everyone. It's just like wash his boat. You know how people do that? Like they clean their car or fix something. He's like constantly scrubbing this boat, remembering better days. So Bartek, this is when you realised, huh?
Yeah.
But did you realise that the cousin knew all along?
I'm confused about why everyone seems to know it now.
Because she wasn't in England at the time. Like, she fucked off as soon as it happened. Then I guess everyone else in England found out. Oh, Amy Adams is like, oh shit, she found out.
How funny would it be if she didn't find out, but she walked out with this like expression? Everyone's like, "Oh God, you found out, didn't you? You told her. What the hell?" And it's like, what?
Here's the coming scene. Oh yeah, the poor guy didn't do anything really.
Amy Adams is really popping some nips in that dress.
What a nippley dress it is. Well, it's windy in England.
And it's just satin.
Look at the look on his face. He couldn't show less emotion if he tried.
He looks angry to
He's
me.
like, how dare you be angry at me? Everyone's upset. Everyone's upset except for Eddie. This is why Eddie's the best. Like, this scene coming up.
It's a good scene.
Rachel, you like the chase scene with Eddie.
Yes.
But I like Eddie. It sums up a character. I love those moments where characters summed up, where this is him summed up. It's like, he doesn't have any idea of what's happening. And then, like, Jeffrey shows his true colours. It's like, oh, don't start catching on now. No, it's not a turn to catch on. But, okay, good. And
you know what?
That was making no sense.
He just walks away.
And you know what? When because again, when I was watching this movie, I had other things on my mind. In this scene, because of how he was dressed, I thought he was just a waiter or something.
Can you imagine if it's like the waiter came up and they're like, just start catching on now, and he's like, all right, and then goes back to serving cocktails and shit.
It's the waiter who's like, guys, really catch me up on the plot.
So it rained in between cutscenes, but it wasn't raining then.
Cutscenes.
No, but it's all overcast.
Oh my God.
It's metaphorical.
What? It's metaphorical that they were completely dry in one scene and then completely wet in the
Well, in
next.
some
This
video
is like
games,
Ed Wood level of continuity.
in some video games, it just randomly starts raining.
Yeah, but like it doesn't just like happen like you're dry and then you're instantly drowning in wetness.
She's
They're not
walked
Melbourne,
to
yeah.
town. Like she's walked into the village from wherever they were.
They don't
staying.
live very far from the village.
No.
If she did walk to town, Nick was pretty slow to not catch up to her until now.
If she didn't go downtown, we wouldn't have had this emotional scene in which she's like, well, I realise that you're hot, but I don't want you.
If he caught up to her earlier, it would still be sunny, and then it'd be like really, contrasting.
Contrasting?
Yeah.
Instead, it's symbolizing like her love of Jeffrey is finally washed away and she's renewed.
Wait, and here's another reason why Ed's the best. Look at him. He's like, I'm gonna help you out, man. Like, I've known you, what, 3 days? You could be an axe murderer for all I know, or someone who's a thief. But I trust you enough because you told me you were a hooker as a joke. But in
Whore.
fact,
This is
no,
a
he said hooker.
He said whore.
No,
hooker's the word.
he said hooker. He's like, I'm a hooker, ha ha ha. And then he's like,
I
ah,
swear he says whore.
you're wrong.
He said hooker. Even Bappa was paying attention to that part.
Even
Yeah, but the subtitles on this are wrong all of the time.
No, I'm
not
talking about when I
them.
watched them with sound. He said hooker.
And I'm telling you, when we watched it with subtitles, it said hooker. So either way, he's a hooker. That's what we're trying to emulate here. Did you know that Nick's a hooker? He sucks things for a living. What things? Evidently not ice sculptures of women's
He
breasts.
sucks the depression out of people by being their escort.
Now, out of all the scenes we've done in all the movies we've done, I feel like this is a genuine Oscar contender.
For Amy Adams?
No, for Debra Messing here, of how much she has to withhold. She could just blast off in furious anger, but she doesn't because it's her sister. She loves her, but she hates her right now. And this whole scene is just her being like, yeah, sure, it's all about you. But what you're doing is wrong and I have to bite my lip for the moment, but doesn't mean that I have to do it tonight. I hate you. Get away from me, you bitch, kind of stuff. I feel like she's got this great manic energy that is just real. You know what I mean? It's really real, and this is how people really react.
You can see it in her eyes in this scene and the next scene. And you know what? This scene really showcases a big transformation of this character. Because like I said earlier in the movie, almost every single one of her lines sounded like it wanted to be like a punchline to a joke. And now we've got a really...
She's a strong, independent woman.
a strong woman who's in a lot of pain.
Yeah. She's a strong, independent...
Independent for now.
Independent, so she gets a ring on it, boom, boom, which she doesn't in this movie. Do you think there was room for a sequel, Rachel?
Well, some movies that you wouldn't expect got a sequel. I mean,
Thanks, Rachel.
Saturday Night. What?
I said, do you think there's room for a sequel, Rachel? And you just started talking. I'm like, thanks, Rachel.
Oh, did you say her name?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Rachel, do you think there was possibility for a sequel? Like, if this went well enough in the box office, and generally in reception, do you think they could have had a series of these movies?
I think even if it didn't, Disney has shown that there's always an opportunity for a sequel.
Yeah, but this isn't a Disney movie.
No, but like
Disney can do that, I feel, because they're Disney. Like, they've got the name recognition. While lesser ones like Warner Brothers, yeah, maybe. Maybe. But maybe. I reckon if this movie did well, there would have been a string of sequels. I mean, they do My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 10 years later. This is about 11 years ago. Where's this one? Where's the yachting date in which it's like a disaster movie in which it's her, Nick, and her stepdad stuck on a like in the middle of the ocean, lost, and there's no rations, and they have to decide who to eat first. And the dad's just like, I'll go. And like he cuts off his own hand, and he's like, let's eat. And then they all just like crying and shit.
And then Nick the Magic Genie comes up and says, I'll fix this.
And he whips out his dick and he uses it as a propeller, and the ship goes fast.
As I've established, circumcised dick.
Thank you.
Will he still have his magical powers now that he's not a whore?
He's never been a whore, he's been a hooker.
I'm going to call him a whore.
Why?
Because I can. It's post-sexism at this point, isn't it?
Yep, sexism is dead by when this movie came out. I mean, sure, maybe not in England. England's a bit different when it comes to that. You can't take down the empire.
Sexism might be dead, but clearly rudeness isn't.
You know, the dad is kind of like Yoda in this movie. He just walks around
Funny
dispensing...
how you called him Yoda when freaking Kat was calling Nick Yoda earlier.
Yeah, well, she doesn't recognize her own Yoda when she has one in front of her.
What a silly woman.
Nick is clearly Jabba the Hutt. He's going to have her up in chains, which is marriage or relationship, and she's going to choke him with those. She's going to choke him with those to death, and she's going to wear a metal bikini.
We need a dub of this movie that replaces all of Nick's lines with Jabba the Hutt-like scenes.
Did you hear that Admiral Akbar died? The voice of Admiral Akbar?
That's sad.
You know who Admiral Akbar is?
I know who Admiral Akbar is.
Who is it?
It's a trap guy.
It's a trap! He was 93 years old. And we're watching this and not Star Wars, which is better.
He did look very old in Return of the Jedi.
It's a trap!
And we just missed possibly the most subtle moment in the film,
Which bit?
where the father quotes the line from the article saying...
Oh, that was the thing I was talking about earlier that I recognised. Yeah, he quotes the dad. Bartek, you might have missed it. But earlier, he was like, the article that Nick wrote was about, what was it? It's like women who are in these relationships that they are in.
Women have the exact love life that they want.
They have the exact love life they want. And then at the end of the movie, the dad quotes that article at her. He's like, I read this very interesting article that says, and he quotes Nick at her. Isn't that a sly piece of writing?
Yeah, I didn't catch that at all.
Rachel didn't catch it last night, but I caught it. And now, Rachel, you brought it back up because...
I caught that he quoted. You made the connection that he was the writer of the article because earlier in the film, she mentions that he got the number. She got the number from the author of the article, who she knew. Yeah. I didn't connect that was her dad.
Yep. Isn't that cool? This movie, intense with how smart it is. I mean, look, he's smacking his hand on the steering wheel, biting his lip, thinking, how can I make this movie better? I know, I'll drive back.
I'll just stop in the middle of the road.
Well, it is England. There's only like 2 roads.
It would have been better if he was riding a motorcycle.
Yeah, it would have been a lot cooler.
And he had like a neo-Nazi helmet on with a like spike on the top.
Well, you don't have to go that crazy. I just think that the
motorcycle... I wasn't crazy. I just
think that the motorcycle should be a magic motorcycle.
Could it be one of those motorcycles in which it has like a mounted dildo on it, and he's like riding on that dildo? Because he's a whore. He's got to keep his...
I don't know about having a dildo on the motorcycle. Maybe if like one of his hands he was holding like a long spear-like dildo.
And it became Mad Max Dildo Road.
Yeah, I mean, I want him to be, the big magical thing. The motorcycle can just be magical too, but it doesn't need all the crazy accessories. It just needs to be a cool motorcycle. Oh,
there it is. Oh, there it is. So, graveyard chase sequence.
Yes, and
we
Ed,
need more of this in...
Ed is such a nice guy that when he is told that the woman that he's meant to be marrying her in like 10 minutes slept with his best friend, his first question is, does Kat know?
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. He's like, does Kat know? It's like, found out last night. He's like, right, now I can kick his ass. Because it's like, I could kick his ass on just my benefit, but I could kick his ass on hers as well. Oh, she already knows? I guess it's just for me then. Like, what a great guy. Knowing him, am I right, Bartek? Knowing Ed, the little that we do know of him, I reckon he would have told Kat. Like, if he found out she didn't know, he'd be like, all right, and then told her, and then they're like, let's both kick Jeffrey's ass. And then they both, like, kick Jeffrey's ass, like, Kat's holding Jeffrey from behind with her arms curled around his shoulders, and he's just, like, punching him in the gut, going like, how's this, and then they take turns.
That is great. I have so many things I just want to say. Yes, that would be great, and Ed would probably find a very gentle way to say it, and he'd therefore be one of the best characters.
And he'd punch him gently.
The other thing I want to say is the subtitles for that scene. Just, you remember, I've already said the line, like, oh, he's already halfway to France by now.
Yeah.
The subtitle said he's gonna go find his friend right now. So it's like implying that there's a whole other movie that Jeffrey's gonna go to where he's gonna find a friend.
My favourite mistake is when Ed is running and he's like, I look like a total Wayne right now, don't I?
When he said
I
wanker.
actually read that too, but it didn't register in my head for some reason. Like, oh, I was like, he says wanker, but it says Wayne. But like, oh.
You know what I find great? American
Ed.
audiences don't know wanker is a real insulting term. Like, there's this TV show called Married with Children, in which Peggy Bundy's maiden name is Peggy Wanker, and he just gets no laughs, like zero. And it's like he calls he's like, you come from a bunch of wankers, and like he does all these jokes, and it's like the American, because it's American audience.
Yeah, canned laughter.
No, live audience.
Oh.
They were a live audience, like, well, the big live audience, Married with Children. Like, the actors actually had to pause and stop and wait for people to stop laughing. Like, it was that big. And there's just dead air when they say that. I'm like, I find it hysterical.
Are they waiting, though? Or
No.
Oh,
They act. But it's like, I know there's a joke there, but Americans don't know the joke. Americans don't use the phrase wanker or wanking or any wank term, really. They use jerking it off or jerk off. You jerk off.
I was always kind of like that in like Harry Potter. There's a character whose last name is Longbottom, and no one ever like laughs at him or makes fun of him.
What do you mean? His character's name is Longbottom. That's like the best part.
Yeah, I know, but no one points it out. No one makes fun of him for it. They make fun of the fact that he's like doofy or whatever.
Yeah,
but...
well, maybe in the Harry Potter universe where they got broomsticks that actually fly, Longbottom's not an insulting term, but Muggle is.
But Mudblood's the insulting one.
Muggle's insulting to Muggles.
No, it's not.
No, it isn't.
Oh, come on. If I walked up to you and went, you fucking Muggle, you're not going to be insulted. You're not going to be insulted.
You're saying it.
They say it like that to Muggles.
Well, Ryan, if I went up to you and said,
No.
you fucking flubber, would you be insulted?
Yeah, I thought you were saying I'm fat.
No, I'd be blubber.
Blubber. But you said flubber, and it makes me feel like I got some flub going on.
Yeah, you're associating
But no,
things to the
I'm not
sound.
insane. I'm feeling like the phrase muggle is always used in a disparaging term. And I feel like muggles, because they're also muggles are predominantly unaware of wizards, right? Like, that's the thing.
That's the idea.
Yeah, that's
But
the whole point.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Predominantly, there are several, thousands of people.
Yeah, unless
thousands
you
of
have
people
a
that know.
witch in your family.
Or
You're not meant
you
to
are
know.
a reporter.
No.
Yeah, I'm
the
swear-
reporters don't know.
It's just all these
there's-
mysterious things are happening because
Yeah,
Voldemort
yeah.
is fucking up shit.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, muggles, if they get called muggle and blah blah. Also, if they're not aware that they're called muggles and someone calls them a muggle, that's an insulting. It's an insult because they say it to them in an insulting manner. And if you're confused, you get the
Now,
feeling
hold on,
of
where are you getting that from? You're saying it to them in an insulting manner.
Yeah.
If you know what a muggle is and you call someone a muggle, you're not really going to associate
No, but
it
if
to being
they
insulting.
don't know what it is,
But then where does the insulting manner come
the disparaging tone, because they don't just say, "Hey, muggle." They always call you muggle or whatever. It's always
from? They
a
don't talk to
disparaging.
muggles.
They have to in the series because they branch out from the school eventually.
They're not going to call them muggles. They're going to say,
Excuse
hello,
me.
Jeffrey.
Excuse me? Draco Malfoy's not going to call a muggle to someone's face.
I don't
Are
think
you
he would.
No, he's
literally
not
telling
gonna
me?
speak to a muggle at all.
No, but there are occasions in the stories in which they have to deal with the outside world.
But they're not going to use the word muggle because they're not going to know what that means.
No.
They're just going to
The
say
person
hello.
they are calling a muggle will not know. But it's like if I called you an Australian insult to an American person, they don't know, but I know. And they will know that they're being insulted on a level upon my inflection of the phrase. Like, if I, like we just said this, if I call someone a wanker, over in America and I say it like, you're a wanker, but they'll know that they're being insulted.
But they've probably even heard of
Stanley.
the word before.
Yeah. What?
But they probably would have heard of the word before. I was like, oh, I've heard of that word. That's like not a good
but
thing.
I'm talking about the general mass. You're saying
there's
like
Woody.
There's Woody.
Yeah.
But here's my problem, Bartek. You're now making assumptions and exceptions to the rule, but I'm not allowed to make exceptions to the Muggle rule. You're like, oh, they've probably heard the phrase wanker, but really in America they don't use the phrase. So if we're playing by the same rules, neither Muggles or wankers know the phrase, and if I called them a wanker in a tone, they'll know that it's an insult. As would Muggles.
But here's the problem. Americans and
They got subtitles for the subtitles.
Americans and Australians live in the same world and they know each other. Wizards and Muggles, that's a one-way thing.
No, they live in the same world, but they don't know about each other.
No, wizards know about Muggles. Muggles don't know about wizards.
Yeah, but
Yes,
that's
we
what I'm saying.
already
Like, they don't.
established this.
Wait, sorry guys. And Jeffrey.
Yeah, we've said this a million times. He doesn't learn a thing. We know. Look, learn absolutely nothing.
Learned absolutely nothing. I'm sorry, but I completely disagree. What you're saying is, okay, for instance, I don't know anything about the South African culture outside of the general history, but I bet you a South African could walk up to me right now and use a South African insult or slang term and use it at me, and I'll have no understanding what it is, and I'll bet most of the world won't have an understanding of what it is, because South Africa is not a giant country in the grand scheme of things, but they still have insults in the grand scheme of things.
And the insult in the Harry Potter world isn't Muggle, it's Mudblood.
No,
Yes, and
Mudblood
that's
is
to wizard to wizard.
that's to wizard, but Muggle is from wizard to human. Because
I
Muggle's
don't think
not a
so,
polite
dude.
term. Why don't they just call
It's
them
not
humans?
a rude word.
No, because
They're humans too.
No,
exactly.
yeah, but they're wizards.
But they're
They use
humans.
that, but then
They're
why do they?
human wizards.
But, so there's aliens in this universe, is there? Wait.
Not yet.
Wait. Do other creatures have wizard powers? Like, do
No, there's just
There's a
other...
class called Care of Magical Creatures.
Yeah,
I think so.
There's a lot of
Yeah, but are they
magical creatures.
Creatures don't count. Like wizards have the ability to incant spells and whatever.
Yeah.
While magical creatures like unicorns just have that as a let's say
Biological feature.
Yeah, as a sense. Like this is their sense, blah blah blah. But what I'm saying is I like how we went way off of this movie. But I'm telling you,
We talked
Muggle can be used and is used as an insulting phrase towards humans from wizards, because wizards like Draco Malfoy, for instance, and the whole Malfoy family have the classist undertones towards it. They'd use Mudblood as an insult to Hermione because Hermione? Yeah.
Hermione.
Yes.
Hermione. Blah, blah, blah. But they aren't afraid to use this classist insult towards humans because it's very similar to me like X-Men, in which Magneto hates humans and he finds them a lower down on the evolution chain. Malfoy and these other wizards, the elitist wizards like Voldemort and all these other people, think that wizards are like a higher being than the humans, the Muggles.
But here's the...
I think the best comparison is, do you think Bogan is an insult?
Yes! But
But do
Bogans
you-
also accept it, as do
Yeah.
Wogs. Wogs is originally an insultive term, and you can still use it as an insulting term, but they, like also with the phrase nigger, I know we shouldn't say it, but we will, nigger and wog and bogan are all insulting phrases at the deep down core, but they have over time been used and accepted by the people that it's towards, and they've made it an entire thing of their own, right?
They've
So,
reclaimed the word.
they've reclaimed
like
the word.
sluts are doing.
Yeah, but I don't think Muggles have because they don't know about it, right? They don't know about it. But you can't tell me the people that do get called Muggles don't find it insulting. The ones that are Muggles that get called Muggles find it insulting. Like, Harry Potter himself is a little snarky bitch, right? And when he spends time with his asshole family, he does asshole things to them in return. And I don't know, I haven't watched the series and I haven't read the books
Yeah,
completely.
so you're speaking from a point of ignorance.
You
No,
keep
I'm
saying all these
speaking-
things about the Malfoys talking to Muggles when in fact they've never spoken to a Muggle, as we know.
Oh, really? I don't think so.
Yeah, as you just admitted.
I've watched the movies.
You haven't even watched all of the movies.
I haven't watched the 5th movie. That's it.
That one's...
No, you haven't watched part 1 of Deathly Hallows.
I have. I saw it in the cinema.
I thought you saw part 2 in
No,
the
I saw both in the cinema. I haven't seen... What's the one where Dumbledore dies? That's 6.
Half-Blood Prince.
That one I haven't seen. I've seen some of it, but it went way too long. Like, I don't know. That's just me. But my main thing is...
There's a Muggle waitress at the beginning of that one.
My main thing is... Muggles... I'm not saying it. What my main argument is... Muggles is an insulting phrase.
And
It can
our
be...
argument is no.
So... Just saying... Why isn't it? Because it's separation from people, even though they're both the same. They're both humans, but they're not like a different nationality or anything. They're wizards because that's their occupation.
It's just a word
No, it's not.
It's just a word to set...
It's their class.
It's not their occupation.
It's their class.
In the Harry Potter
more like
world,
their
there is like
race.
an idea of there's a whole world that these people do not realize, and that's just a term for the people who aren't a part of that
So
world.
you're telling me that muggles isn't an insultive term and that muggles are looked down upon by the wizards? Because, excuse me, Umbridge and a lot of people have fucking hatred for muggles.
I'm
from
not
what
saying
I can
that
gather.
that's wrong, but I don't think the word muggle is a bad word.
I think it is. I find it, as someone who's a muggle,
Then what do you
insulting
say?
term.
Then what do you say to the people who aren't dicks but they use the term muggle? Because I'm pretty sure Hagrid also uses it and stuff like
But
that.
Yeah, but
Hagrid's
it's a
also a bit of a dick.
There's a
sometimes.
class called like Muggle Studies, isn't there?
Yeah, but also there used to be, back in the olden days, you can use the studies of sociological things to be like, yes, and today we're studying the Negro. Like, you know what I mean? Do you understand what I mean?
I understand what you're saying.
Like, today we're studying that of the Oriental. Like, it goes on and on and on and on. Like, just because in that current time it's an acceptable thing doesn't mean that it should be an acceptable phrase.
I think what Bartek and my
These
position...
wait, can I might say,
The credits
we've
are really
been
long.
arguing for 10 minutes and the credits are still
We
rolling.
were arguing before the credits started.
I know, but
we
we've been
argued
arguing...
through them kissing and the title
Oh
card.
yeah, the movie ended. But if you're here for a great Muggle debate, I'm on the side of the Muggles. I'm saying, when is it going to become a when is it going to become a civil rights uprising? Because here's the thing.
They don't know about it.
Can I please
But they
finish?
will.
No, I want to hear where Ryan's going because it's fun. It's interesting, but
I want to make my own point. You said that you wanted to hear my voice in this podcast.
Okay, go.
I think what Bartek and I are saying is that it's not designed to be an offensive term, but it can be used in that way because you're making that way. But it's not like the wizards are actually having any contact with the muggles. They avoid the muggles. It's the separation of worlds.
Yeah, I know, but at points, they still have to interact. They're on the same planet, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, I kind of disagree because I think it is an insulting phrase because it's used as a form of separation. They're catalogued as muggles. I think that's an insulting thing because it's the same between us using phrases to separate us from others. It's never coming from a polite phrase of mine. It's always coming from the negative because people who are different from us scare us. And we
So,
treat them negatively.
does
And
that
wizards
mean-
can be afraid of muggles because muggles are unpredictable. Like, here's what I get from the muggle people that we see. Obviously, his family and this, and this. Muggles are assholes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, humans are assholes.
anyone can be an asshole.
No, but
Yeah,
I'm
humans.
saying, but humans, muggles, are usually unpredictable, naive, foolish assholes. And who are not that understanding. That's the understanding that I get from the films. Alright? You can be like, oh, in the book there's this great muggle character who's fully this, and this. But then you get the wizards who have got their thing going on too. But I always get this feeling like the wizards feel like they're higher than muggles because they got powers.
Because they have a responsibility to not let them in on their world, so they have to know how they are,
Yep.
so that they can't give them hints that there's a whole wizard
But
world.
what I'm saying is, this does not excuse the fact that the wizards and the witches, or whatever, have this feeling of superiority two muggles just because they have powers.
Just because they have a responsibility to keep a secret.
No, it's not just that. It's not just that. Come on, think about it. They've got lots of responsibilities you want to go, but the humans have lots of responsibilities too, like the state of the economy. Go on.
Rachel speaks next.
What about squibs?
Which one's the squibs?
They're wizards that don't actually have magical powers.
They treat them like
I forgot all about that.
They treat them like shit.
I know.
Isn't there only like one?
There's
two. There's
Filch.
Filch, and then
the movie's still got credits going, by
the old lady that saves them from the Dementor in the alley when like Harry and Dursley, not Dursley, that's his last name.
Dudley.
Dudley like walking through the alleyway and then get attacked by the Dementor, and then she saves them.
Credits still going, and they're finally finished. Nope, they're still going.
Nope.
But here's my thing: in the wizarding world, there's other sentient beings that aren't humans, such as giants, such as elves. Elves? Yeah, elves.
House elves. Yeah.
House elves.
Yeah.
They have a hierarchy to them. So where do muggles fall into this hierarchy? Because you can't look me in the eye and say that the wizards don't have a sense of superiority in comparison to every other creature. They have got to the point in which they actually have slavery of elves. Mm-hmm. You can't look me in the eye and say, no. You're trying to defend their slavery actions.
Actually, in the books, this isn't in the movies. In the books, there's a whole thing of Hermione like being for their rights. Like, these people are elves. You can't treat them that way. But everyone's like, but they want it that way.
Yeah.
So that's a really weird thing in the book.
They want it. But the
really
use of manipulation of that has been explored in several things too, including Doctor Who. But what I'm saying is, the wizards have a sense of superiority and hierarchy, and the fact that Nazi imagery and Nazi ideas in Harry Potter has been used with Voldemort and the Malfoys isn't just accidental.
Well, they're the bad people.
They're the bad people, obviously. But you have other people like that too, like, what's his name?
Dumbledore
wasn't the most pure of heart guy in the universe either. He doesn't like things, like, he comes across as a bit of an asshole too. There's several arguments for Dumbledore, yet he's supposed to be this heavenly guy, but he's a wizard just like everyone else with a sense of superiority. I'm not saying like, oh, muggles are great, blah blah blah, boo-hoo, whatever. I'm just saying my original argument is muggles is a derogative term. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to get at. But let's put that down for a second, because I feel like we've made a lot of great arguments.
We should finish the episode. Yeah.
We should finish this episode. Bartek.
We should actually talk about the wedding date at this point.
Bartek,
We were
the
just
wedding
filling
date.
in for
Could you
credits.
give us your review and rating of the masterpiece that is The Wedding Date?
Well, this is definitely one of the episodes that I come in, a little bit embarrassed. I won't go so far as to say there are eggs on my face, because it's just embarrassment, really. Because it's a movie that, as you've said, really does need to have multiple viewings to truly understand. And you've even heard it within this episode itself. I've had things explained to me by Ryan and Rachel. Mm-hmm. And I've gotten more and more out of this movie just from simply watching it a day later, like not even 24 hours later. And I think that a movie that has a lot of multi-layered elements...
Don't know why that's a laugh or anything.
So what?
I don't know why you're laughing about that.
Because I bring it up every episode.
You do. It's your catchphrase. Multi-layered!
It was yours, but then I just kept bringing it up. I wasn't even planning to. But, and that's something that I really value in a movie. And I don't get that too often in these movies, because... maybe Empire Records I did too, but a lot of the movies we've watched in this show, not so much. Like last week I pointed out last week we did Sorority Boys, not the Like Mike, that's a different thing. Sorority Boys, there was that car crash scene, and a guy got in a brace later, and you didn't realise that it was the same thing. So, we both kind of point out
this
things.
This movie has a lot of hidden things.
We learn things by doing this show. So... this movie is a learning experience, and I think that the rating I would have to give it, to compare it to the idea of learning, would be an A+ if you're American, and a HD if you go to university here.
Brilliant. Now, Rachel, you seem pretty heated up about this Harry Potter thing still, but use that energy and that focus to tell us your feelings about this movie, because after all, this is the movie you wanted to talk about. So, and give us a rating of your choice.
I don't even get to review it.
No, after. Like, you review and give a rating.
Final thoughts and rating.
Yes. I love this film. It's adorable. It's a classic rom-com situation with a little bit of a twist. Because you get the sexuality of a woman rather than a man, because it's the male prostitute instead of a pretty woman situation where it's a female prostitute. It's advanced in its plot. It's very subtle as well, very artistic. A lot of beautiful shots, as we mentioned. The beautiful tint in the dance sequence is amazing.
I like tints.
It's a very good use of colour. It's very nice the way that like her costuming develops as well. There's a lot of interesting developments that happen with all of the characters, even Woody. His lines pay off in the end.
There's a snake in my boot. Yep.
Okay.
That's from Toy Story.
Wrong Woody.
Yeah.
There was a Woody in Wild Hogs. Why don't you go to him?
I don't remember his quotes.
It was John Travolta.
Something like, I'm becoming wild hog.
Look, come on, guys, we gotta get on the road. We gotta go.
Yeah, okay, Whitey. Any other feelings you have, or were you going to give us your rating out of how you feel?
I'm not sure. I'm really emotional after the ending, and I think
The ending of the movie, or
Yes.
Or us arguing about Harry
the
Potter?
ending of the movie. I think I'm gonna give it 9 out of 10 title cards.
Whoa, that's a lot of title cards. I mean,
It'll
that's
make
almost as many as the movie
it'll
had.
make the movie longer.
That's what we need. Okay, I'm going to give it a short, quick burst review here, because I felt like I did a predominant amount of talking. I usually do. But this movie, it's simple. I think it's the most simplistic movie we've done. And simple doesn't mean bad. Simple is good sometimes. Not every movie can have complexities about it. Not every movie has us scratching our heads. Yes, I did say this movie did keep me in the dark for good periods of it. But once it did answer it, everything fell into place. This is one of the best movies that you could ever see. This is the best movie, if you really want to go there. It has characters that are compelling. It gives you 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, hell, 4-dimensional characters. It has debate-worthy scenes. It has everything that you're looking for a good movie. I recommend buying this movie. I recommend watching it. I recommend telling all your friends. If I had to give this a rating, I would say, 7 knots if you're, out on a yacht. That's, a decent amount of knots. Yeah. So, other people had other feelings, like how these two had different feelings to me about Muggles. This is a 10-star review called I Loved the Wedding Date. And this was written in 2005, and I like to remind everyone now and then when these are written, because the movie came out then, and sometimes people have you have a different perspective when you've just seen something for the first time, or just when it's new, it's got this, the stigma is different. So, this is what they had to say. I want to see this movie again. After reading some reviews, I had my doubts, but I have to say that I had a good time watching Wedding Date. I found myself laughing throughout the movie, and Mulroney? That's the actor's last name. Mulroney is absolutely hot. Messing is perfect as Kat. They have great chemistry. The writing is smart and fun. I liked how the story unfolded, and the pace was just right. Wedding Date has a few twists and turns to keep it from being another formulaic flick. The story and characters are refreshing and different enough that it doesn't mimic other movies for me. The English countryside is beautiful, and the other scenes added a romantic touch too. I like the decor of the parents' home and her old bedroom. It complemented the romantic theme well and made me look. Any romantic will enjoy this fun and sexy romp. They gave it 10 stars.
Wow.
I like how it was sexy. So this one is a 7-star review. And it's called Very Sweet. This also came out in 2005. Critics, Shritics.
Oh, called out.
Critics, Shriddix. I love the movie. To me, this is a great romantic comedy. It has a sweet heroine and a gorgeous man who literally is the perfect guy for her. Like critics say, it was predictable, but the movie ended exactly like I wanted it to, so I wasn't disappointed at all. I left my boyfriend in front of the TV drinking beer and watching the Super Bowl with his buddies. Hey, if men can have a fantasy world to escape into, so can I. Sometimes it's great just to go to the movies and escape into a romantic fantasy. I wish that every guy would see this movie because they could learn something about what women want from the leading man. It's really not that hard, guys. I think this movie was a perfect escape for women who don't want to watch football. 7 out of 10.
Fantasy world of football.
Wouldn't it be a plot twist if this was a guy who wrote it? Okay.
I also liked, the whole fantasy thing.
No,
It also ties into my whole magic hooker theory.
Yeah.
Do you both feel like you learned something from this film?
Yeah, I did. I felt like I'm more of a gentleman now. Don't you?
I should probably stop cheating.
Now, guys, we've got a few negative ones here because this movie has got a lot of friction between the audience. It is a very divisive movie, and of course, we like to take a look at both sides. This is a 1-star review.
Oh, that's long.
Oh, don't worry, it's not that long.
Oh.
This is 1-star review. I want the time back I wasted watching this dire rubbish. Written in 2007. 1 star. And also, this may contain spoilers, is the opening to this, so just hold on to your seats. There have been so many films based on the same thing. Single cute girl needs handsome boyfriend to impress ex, pays him, and then, guess what? She falls in love with him. There's a bit of fumbling followed by a row before everyone makes up and before the happy ending. This has been done many times. The thing is, I knew this before starting to watch it, but despite this, I was still looking forward to it. In the right hands with a good cast and a bright script, it can still be a pleasant way to pass a couple of hours. This was none of these things. This was dire. A female lead lacking in charm or wit, who totally failed to light even the slightest spark in me. I truly did not care if she got her man or remained single and unhappy. A male lead who was, after a few of his endless words of wisdom, I wanted to kill. Just to remove that smug look. I had no idea that leading a life of a male whore was a path to an all-seeing, all-knowing enlightenment. A totally unrealistic film, filled with unrealistic characters. None of them seemed to have jobs. All of them had more money than sense. A bridegroom who still goes ahead with his wedding after learning that his bride slept with his best friend. Plus, I would miss you even if we never met. Ugh, I could go on, but I just realized that I'm wasting even more time on this dross. I could rant about introducing a character just to have a very cheap laugh at the end at the name, Woody. But in truth, that was the only remotely humorous thing in the film. 1 star.
Yeah, that just made me realize there was a line way earlier where what was it? It was the sisters were at the bar drinking, and all of a sudden Amy had the whole I can't go through with this thing, and it just wasn't brought up or expanded upon. But now I realize it was foreshadowing.
It was foreshadowing. This movie's got a lot.
I just remember that now because we didn't talk about it.
Bartek, this is what you're feeling. This is a 1 star, and it's called "I'm Actually in Physical Pain."
I read that title, but I didn't read that review.
Okay. I had to visit the bathroom on 3 separate occasions within 1 hour after seeing this movie. My guts were in turmoil after watching such an idiotic and insulting travesty of a romantic comedy. This movie was so dead and morbid in atmosphere that my girlfriend fell off the couch while watching it and slept there on the floor until morning. He didn't even help her up. He didn't even go, let's go to bed.
He continued to watch after this happened?
Okay, I did not laugh once during the whole movie, and I had to drive 5 miles across town to go to the video store to complain and to get some decent comedy urgently. Dermot Mulroney was so bad in this movie that I truly believe he was trying to sabotage the whole sordid affair. The movie has turned me off love and sex and the British for life. Holy shit, he wrote off not only love and sex, but the whole British for
No
life.
wonder he left his girlfriend on the ground.
I feel like moving to a monastery and maiming myself. Please pray for me and for any poor soul who sees this monstrosity. 1 star.
He's such a wiener, he probably didn't even go to the monastery.
Well, he did want to maim himself, so he doesn't have a wiener anymore. Okay, guys, 2 more reviews left. Keen on this? Rachel, don't get too excited because I know you still want to debate about muggles, but that's over now. It is. Maybe one of these reviews has the word muggle in it, used as an insult. One of the best romantic comedies I have ever seen. 10 stars. Written in 2005 also. Most of these are from around the period. Couldn't really find any that were closer to the time we're in now. So this is one of the best romantic comedies I've ever seen. I took my husband to see this movie, despite his whimpering of being drug to a chick flick. Yeah, drug. Not drag. Drug. Like they drugged him, I guess.
I thought it was like drunk, but they said drug instead.
Drug. To a chick flick, we both enjoyed this movie very much. My husband even says he can't wait for it to come out on video so that we can buy it. In addition...
I thought it was going to say can't wait for the sequel.
In addition to the hilariously funny yet romantic plot, Dermot Mulroney is smoking in this film. I always thought he was sexy, but he put the icing on the cake in this one. In brackets, major source of eye candy. I love this.
Did she come?
Yeah. Wait. Now, remember, this has all been first person. Now, this is it. We would recommend this movie to anyone. This has got to be one of the best romantic films that I have seen thus far. It will definitely keep you laughing and sighing at the same time. This is definitely one I want for my home video library. I knew that would get you. Okay, Dermot Mulroney and Debra Messing. There's no star rating for this one.
That's the next review.
Yeah, next review. I have seen The Wedding Date several times, and I find it wonderful, refreshing, and fun. It is pure entertainment, and there's a special magic between these 2 stars. I hope to see them together in a romantic comedy. Debra is so real and so vulnerable, and you can identify with her. She is a fabulous actress, and her feelings come through to the viewer. Dermot is irresistible as Nick, and incredibly sexy and handsome. Now I have seen... and now I have to see all of his movies. What a talented fellow. It figures that he was born in the first 10 days of Scorpio. Like that I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I guess Scorpios are really hot.
Horoscopes, I guess.
He reminds me of Gregory Peck.
I know who Josh Peck is, but...
Gregory Peck's Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, Josh Peck is nothing like that.
No, his calm, commanding demeanor, and visually as well, in regards to him being like Gregory Peck. I expect to see great things from this actor in the future, and I do hope to see these 2 star together again. I can only imagine what they could achieve in a more serious romantic production. And only happy endings. Please? There's already more than enough sadness in the world. Thank goodness for movies like The Wedding Date.
Aww.
I know, it was romantic, wasn't it?
Scorpios have big dicks, so
I guess.
symbolize their big stingers.
I guess. I'm not a Scorpio, so...
I'm a Gemini.
I'm a Virgo.
My sister is a Scorpio.
Oh, she is a Scorpion.
I don't want to ask if she's got a big stinger.
So, guys, we've come to the end. We've learned a lot. This has been a really emotional episode. I feel like, yeah, we talked about the movie. We had a debate about Harry Potter. We've had a lot going on. This movie is really subtle. And I'm glad that we were able to cover it for you guys out there. Because I know there's someone like Rachel who's just like, when are they going to do the wedding date? When are they going to do the wedding date? So, you know, you guys have been fantastic. wonderful, amazing listening people. But till we meet again, you can always keep in contact with us on the Facebook page, which is Spit and Polish Presents. You can follow us on iTunes and Podbean and all that good stuff. Yes, this has been a fantastic episode to be a part of, Bartek. I'm really glad that you are always here with me to go through these great movies, to go through the archives with me, and to dust off the jackets of the covers of these movies and go, hey Ryan, what about this one? Or have a guest like Rachel and be like, hey Ryan, what about this one? Rachel, of course, has been a pleasure to have you on. You have some very heated opinions about things and some very strong, wise words to say about this, and I'm very glad that the wedding date has made us get closer together, guys. Closer together. So, until next time, be kind to each other.
You fucking muggles.
Oh, spoiler, Rachel's also my girlfriend.